Hey guys, so today I'm really excited to be interviewing Kari Roberts as part of the Confidently Creative Summer Series. If you have been paying attention to some of the awesome content that's coming out, I really wanted to put together a series that had just a lot of meat to it with incredible women. In the first video of this series that you're watching, in real time, I had actually recorded this many weeks ago, and Kari actually got to be my very first interview because she's amazing. And I just wanted to kind of focus this series and have it be on something about creating mindset shifts to get you making really major moves across your business. So if this is the first video that you are watching of the summer series, I want you to understand, like, as creatives, there are so many different areas of our businesses that we are trying to grow and develop and find these shifts in our mindset. And that's totally normal. But sometimes I think we get trapped in our own bubbles. I know that I tend to do that myself. So what I want is for you to be able to watch these videos, learn from these awesome women who are willing to share their own experience and their advice when it comes to very specific areas of their expertise. So we're going to jump in with Kari in a sec on the topic of side hustle mindset. And so I know a side hustle can mean a lot of different things to different people. The mindset around it, whether you yourself have a side hustle or you're someone on the outside looking in, I think it can be kind of different each time. So I thought Kari would be the most perfect person to share her experience with side hustles and kind of just give you some really great tips, share some stuff about her own journey. So I'm going to open it up to Miss Kari over here to just tell us a little bit about yourself, about your business, and anything else you want anyone to know.
Hi, Taryn. Thank you so much for having me. I didn't know I was the first person, so that's kind of exciting. My name is Kari. I wear many different hats. My full-time job, I'm a licensed physical therapist, and I've been a therapist for 16 years this year. And then
Oh, wow.
I know, I couldn't believe it. I was filling out some paperwork and I'm like, wow, time has gone by. And then I'm a freelance makeup artist. That's my first side hustle, freelance makeup artist in the Atlanta area for special occasions, photo shoots, things like that. And then also a side hustle business coach that I really started moving into about 18 months ago.
So you're queen of the side hustles. You are rocking it on several different circuits.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to give up one, so you just kind of make adjustments and try to make room for it.
Oh yeah, and I think, I don't know, I feel like so many people feel like they have to choose one thing and stay in one lane. And I think it's important to be cohesive and make sure people know what to know you for in that, like in each realm.
Yeah.
But it's okay if you have different passions, because a lot of the time, especially as creatives, like, we're multi-talented and we're
Mhm.
multi-passionate, which
Yeah,
can be really scary because you don't know which thing to lean into.
right. Yeah.
So, question,
Okay.
definition wise, if somebody's watching and they're like,
Uh-huh.
okay, I hear the term side hustle, but I'm not really sure if I'm one, or like, I get that it's a side thing, how would you like define a side hustle?
Okay, that's a good question. I call myself a side hustle coach because I feel like that's how I can relate to my ideal client. But in all honesty, I don't like the term side hustle, not because of what it means to the side hustler, but what I think it means to everybody else. People can pass judgment on you and think you're not serious about your business, or say, oh, you're just a hobbyist, or you just do that on the side. And it's like, you can keep your car maintained, go on wonderful vacations, take time off with that side money. Money is still money, it's
Mm-hmm.
still green. And so I don't like the negative connotation that comes with that term side hustle. But in my mind, a side hustle is really just a business that you might run on the side of whatever else is very important or time consuming. So if you are a stay-at-home mom, I have a friend who runs her business in a 15-hour work week because she's got kids of different ages. She doesn't consider herself a side hustler, but I do, because I'm like, you're running a legit business with really limited time and your main focus is your children. So I think if you're running a business, you've got goals, it's profitable, you have workflows and a process to manage your clients and keep them happy. To me, that's the definition of a business. And if you do that alongside a full-time job, alongside another job, alongside raising your family, taking care of the house, to me, that's all a side hustle.
See, and I love how you put that, like, it's still a business. And
Right.
I think, like, as we get into the mindset part of things, like, understanding it's still a business. You're still working your tail off. Like, there are still things that you're doing that any other business owner, whether they are clocking 40 hours a week or 15 hours a week, you're still doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it can just be a lot. And I think there's that, I don't know, some people, when they hear the definition, like you said, they're like, does it have like a weird connotation? Like, are people going to think like, oh, that's cute? Like,
Right.
oh, she has a little side hustle. And you're like, no, like, this is literally my job.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's a job that I created actually. So
Yeah.
it's like a baby to me. I don't have children. So it's like I birthed this idea, I brought it to fruition, I'm growing it. It's helping other people. So yeah, it's very real. It's not just a passion to me, or it is a passion, but it's not just a hobby. Like I do have hobbies. You know, me and my husband like to ride bikes. I like to dabble with my camera, with photography. Like I love to bake. I have lots of hobbies, but those things are not associated with generating revenue. Those are things that I do just for myself.
I love that. I love the difference between, like, yes, I have hobbies and I have my business, and it's very different.
Yeah.
So communicating that in different ways can be challenging. So sometimes I think, like, it's hard, not just as women, I would say as women, but as creatives or business owners, to remember, like, we're only in charge of how we're seeing ourselves and how we're viewing our business. The lens that other people are looking in, we can't really control.
Hmm.
It can be frustrating sometimes.
Right.
But what do you think some of the mindset shifts that are on the negative side? So I want to talk about positive too, but on the negative end, that you feel like some business owners who are a side hustle struggle with on their end, but like also knowing, like, people looking in, like, when I identify as a side hustle, people are probably looking at me like this.
Well, I think I can only speak from from personal experience.
Yeah.
I have confidence in other areas of my life, but it is very intimidating to go to a networking event and you're asked, do you do this full time? Or like I've definitely been in situations where it was probably not necessarily from other people, it could have been from myself, where I felt like I was less than, or maybe I wasn't going to be respected as much, or I went through a long period of time where, like, people in the makeup world, I wouldn't really tell them that I was a physical therapist because I didn't want them to think I was just playing in makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those are some of the negative things. Just worrying about what other people will think, worrying about what other people, how they'll view your business, worried about will clients take you seriously. A lot of like fears and worries and doubts about other people's opinions, I think for me was my biggest like negative mindset.
And I would agree with that. I started doing One Crafty Mess in 2014, just like as a fun, like a lifestyle blog with like crafting and DIY stuff. But then later, as it became like a business, I was still working for a giant apparel company, like a big corporation. And I would find myself doing the same thing. I would go to networking events or conferences, and I always felt like almost like I'm going to be found out.
Right.
Like I have a degree in fashion design and marketing. Like, I'm an apparel person, but then I'm doing creative coaching and all of that kind of stuff. And it felt kind of like, well, I'm not this full-time business. Like, I'm a side hustle. And I was that way for years before.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been full-time, not even like 6 months. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. And so it's like, even going out of my full-time, I had a part-time for the last year and a half as I worked towards, I'm a baby step person. So it's like, let's wait until I do the big jump. Like, and so it took a while, but it's one of those things, like, you would get in your own mind sometimes and think like,
Mm-hmm.
well, other people are full-time, or like it's this whole different level. And it's like, yeah, but you're putting just as much work in
Yeah.
and mentally. And if anything, like, you're having to shift constantly between one concentration, like you go to your day job and then you go into this mode, and you're making time work really effectively if you're able to do multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think sometimes too, when you're trying to put yourself out there and you're worried about being like found out, and then that one person says something in just a certain way, and then you're like, see, I knew that's how they were going to think about me. And they probably didn't even mean it, but it was like, you're like trying to fight that in your mind.
Oh yeah. No, and it can be really, really frustrating. Because I think, I don't know, it's super cliche, but like, we are our own worst enemy.
Yeah, yeah,
Other
yeah.
people could be like, oh, this is so cool. Kari does makeup and like she's an artist. This is amazing. While you're thinking like, oh, they heard that I do physical therapy, or like they heard this and now
Right.
like that's all they're thinking.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So in your own like experience with your side hustle, have you, I feel like now, like when you spoke about being a side hustle, like there was so much confidence there and clarity and like, this is what I do, this is what I put into it. At what point did you find that you had any shifts that you had to conquer
Oh,
in your own mind about like
yes.
my business seriously and how I approach it?
Yes. And we're both coaches, so we both know the value of coaching. But I got to a point where I was like, I'm either going to stop doing makeup or figure out how to make this work. Because I had a string of not so delightful clients, and I just felt like I'm spending my free time with something I don't have to do, and if I don't enjoy it. And so my husband was like, you put too much time and effort, like go figure out how to make it better because you're in too deep to just close up shop. So I started poking around and I found my business coach. It was actually a pair, and going through there in my mind, I was thinking they're going to help me take what I think is a business and make it a legitimate business,
Hmm.
which is what I got at the end of the time that we worked together. But the mindset shifts were so huge. Like, I didn't know what a brand was. So I part of that was brand coaching. And I realized I had a personal brand with no person in it. So me as a whole person, I am multi-passionate. So once I started infusing that into, at the time it was just makeup, into my makeup, I think just being more comfortable being myself, it I started to get clients that appreciated that. So when they're sitting in my chair, it's not like, how long have you been doing makeup? It's like, oh my goodness, you want to do this and you have this career over there. Like, tell me about that. Or some people have booked me just because they saw that I had a full-time job. So I must really be passionate about makeup because they thought I was worth a worthy makeup artist. And then that just kind of got the ball rolling with the confidence and not being worried as much about what other people would think. And know, like, I'm a very opinionated person. I've got opinions about everything, and other people will have opinions about me, and that's all that it is. So, once I kind of just accepted that, the shift really started to happen. And then the other coach of that duo, her thing was all about like workflows and systems and automations. And it was years ago, but that was my first piqued interest of like really loving the businessy behind the scenes part that I'm now using as a business coach.
Okay, you just gave like so much good stuff. Like, first of all, one thing, yay for your hubby for like being like, listen, girl, like you put a lot into this. You were not walking away yet. I love that you have that kind of support. Um, I think I don't know, it just takes so much time, right? To like see that. And then once you're like, oh, okay, why have I been letting this voice in the back of my head like run things when obviously I'm awesome at this? Like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it takes so much time and you find your people, especially when you dive into your brand and you get
Yes.
personal. Like, I think sometimes people are nervous about showing up fully or like letting people see all the behind the scenes stuff and talking about their full-time job, talking about their kids that they're home with, like what they're going through on the back end. But really, like you said, you end up having clients who loved you for that, who were like, oh my
Hmm.
God, tell me about this. Or like, this is so cool that like you prioritize your makeup side of the business because it's important to you and it's something that, wow, this girl must be super passionate about and wants to serve her clients. So I don't know, I think people forget like that's a tool in your tool belt. Like use that, say who you are, because you don't want to attract people who are wanting to work with you for false reasons or
Right.
where you can't show up 100%.
Yeah. And then it's like people, especially for small businesses, people buy from people.
Yes.
And it's like I spent so much time trying to be professional, trying to give off this image, but it was like, nope, I just needed to just be myself. Like, some people will think that it's crazy and that's fine, but some people will appreciate it. And then, I've had really a lot of conversations with people in my chair and they're like, I kind of have this idea to do a side hustle, or, I just left my full-time job to do this, or I'm going to pursue this while I raise my family. So it's like people can start to relate to you when you just start being yourself.
Oh yeah, and it's like you let this wall down that like they may have not have felt comfortable sharing that kind of thing. But it's like, oh my gosh, well, if she's doing it, like if Kari can do it, like maybe I can do it. And it feels
Right.
so good. Like I don't know, we talk about that when it comes to like diversity and being more inclusive and stuff. Like you can't be what you can't see.
Right.
But I feel like in the entrepreneur world, sometimes it feels so like elite and like, oh, everyone's just throwing away their full-time jobs and jumping in full-time. And you're like, not everyone does that. And it's okay not to do that. You can just want a side hustle permanently. You can have multiple things. You can have one thing. You can be full-time. There's no one way to do it. So when you
Yeah.
see people who are open about their journey as a side hustle, I feel like it is so helpful because then people are like, oh, okay, so this is fine. Like I could keep doing what I'm doing. And you're like, yes, girl, like you're fine. Like don't feel like you have to follow one path.
Yeah, like you might really need the benefits. You
Yeah.
might just really, you might just really like having paid time off instead of having to plan in advance to take time off. Everybody has different value systems in their lifestyle, and one isn't better than the other. You just have to find the one that's right for you.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. So you did mention systems and workflows, which I know some people are like, oh no, like just for a minute or two, can you talk about kind of like any go-to tips for how implementing things like that help you? And because I think as side hustles, your time's limited and
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
focus on like identifying what actually needs to happen, not just like being busy.
Right. Well, the funny thing is, when I was going through that program, I honestly, seriously was like, I'm going to skip that month. I'll never forget. It was the January month, and it was all about systems and workflows. And I was like, I'm a makeup artist. This is a side, but I don't need like that. Just, but it's crazy because it was my most favorite thing that I learned. But having a system, just like, every time someone, for people that aren't familiar, like every time someone inquires, and like you do the same things, like you might send this email, invite them on a call, the call goes well, send them a contract, they pay the contract, send them a welcome email, start serving them. However you do that, if you just kind of like write those steps out, you now have a system and a workflow. And adopting that made me save so much time as a side hustler. Like I was like, why did it take me 4 years to do this? Because some days you have a long day at work and you're like, man, that bride sent me a contract and what did I tell the other girl? Like, can I copy that email? And it's like, no, boo, save the email as a template and then it'll just run. So as a side hustler, I have saved buku time with workflows and automations and systems, which did give me the confidence to move into business coaching, because I knew like the makeup artist services I provide, like that is rock solid. I have gone on family vacation. I have booked multiple clients. I have sent thank you emails. I have gifted people, and all of that stuff was on automation while I was literally at the beach having a margarita with family. And that cannot be done if I did not take the time to put
Yeah.
systems in place.
And for those watching, Carrie is a rock star at helping people figure that out as well for them and being able to save time. Like I got to sit in on a workshop with her and it was like, oh, okay, here are all the things that could be saving me time that I've now implemented into my own schedule each week for my business. So
Yeah.
definitely hit her up for those things. Okay, so as we were drawing to a close, I would love to ask, so this whole series is about being confidently creative, and that can mean so many different things, but for you, when you hear confidently creative, what does that mean?
Okay. It's interesting you asked that, because at the time of the recording, there is a shift going on in my life with my full-time job. And right now, confidently creative means that I am making decisions with my full-time job so that I can still keep the flexibility to continue to do makeup and continue to do business coaching more on my terms. So not necessarily moving to full-time, but just getting a lot more ownership of my time and ownership of my schedule. So I think that's being confident, because it's hard to go on a job interview and to say, I want this, but I'm doing that for a bigger reason. And that feels cool. And I love to I love to help people. I love doing makeup, and and to be able to still have a schedule where I can still do makeup is gonna it's like my creative side. It's a creative outlet. I love working with people in my chair because they feel good when we're finished, and it just gives me so much mental clarity on the other stuff that I do in my life. So I guess that's my answer.
I love that though, because there's so many different sides. There's like you said, the creative like makeup side, but then also the creative way you're approaching things in your business and being able to be confident about both of those things, which is huge.
Yeah.
So,
hmm
ah,
And I don't like, people have commented that I come across like I'm confident, and I don't know that my confidence or perceived confidence comes from, if it's like based on facts or anything like that. But I really, when I embark on something, I really think my father always says like the worst someone can say is no. So it's like I have nothing to lose. So a lot of times I just end up putting myself out there in a confident way, not because I'm confident that I'm going to get it, but because there's a no lose scenario. If I didn't try, I won't get it anyway. So I can try, and who knows, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
oh heck yeah, I love that. I'm always trying to think of that too. Like the answer is no if I don't ask. So might as well ask and find out. And being able to do that and see all the yeses you do get amaze you. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, you're like, oh snap! Like, what if I had never asked for this, or what if I had never gone after that? It's crazy.
It is, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing like about your experience and just the mindset shifts that you've gone through. I really, really hope that if you are listening right now, guys, you're latching on to some of that confidence about just trust your gut, trust the things that feel good to you. Go after those things, figure out what works for you in your side hustle. Don't feel like, even if you are a full-time person right now and you're like, well, I'm not a side hustle, everyone has to figure out how to run their business in a way that works for them, for their family, for their mental health. Like it needs to feel good, and there's no right or wrong way. Like you just need to figure it out. So Kari, if people want to reach out to you, I'm going to include all of your amazing contact info and stuff in the post. But is there a favorite place you love to hang out that people can connect with you?
Yes, Instagram. My first name is Kari, so it's Kari Roberts Coaching, and Instagram is where I am the most. And then if you're interested in makeup, it's Kari Roberts MUA, like makeup artist.
All right, nice. Thank you so, so much. Thanks for being my first interview. Let me get this out for the first time. And thanks for just sharing like your heart with us and being able to like dive into a topic that like some people, like we talked about, don't want to put at the forefront when it comes to having a side hustle, when there's really so much amazing stuff that goes with that. So thank you so much. And I can't wait for everyone to get to know Kari more. Feel free to reach out to her. She's freaking amazing. Follow her on Instagram, give her some love, and definitely tune into the next interview. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.